Hi guys, JP from FSiPanel. Welcome to this video where I will show you how to fly correct go-arounds on the 737. We will as well have a look at different behavior of the automation when we go around, what you expect to see in your mode indication, in your FMA, and we will also see how to create a pilot waypoint, as I got some feedback from pilots saying they would like to practice non-precision approaches, and for that they would like to create their own position to be exactly where they want to start the approach training. So I will demonstrate today how to do a pilot waypoint, and we will fly in Copenhagen, in Kastrup, that's the airport of Copenhagen. Runway 22 left, we will fly a VOR approach, and for that we will create a pilot waypoint. Couple of go-arounds, and I will show you the trap and what you have to be very careful on go-arounds on this airplane. Alright, let's jump in the cockpit. I just loaded the aircraft in Copenhagen, runway 22 left, and if you want to do the exact same training, please take the weather preset snow. That's the one I took, just the one from Azobo. And for the pilot waypoint that we will create together now, as well as the snapshot that will be taken, they will be available in the description section down below. So if you want to save some time, just download the pilot waypoint, or even better, the snapshot, and you will be right away at the correct position to fly your non-precision approach. Alright, let's jump into FSiPanel and first have a look at the approach we will fly and program a pilot waypoint. Alright, FSiPanel is up and running. As you can see, Kastrup has been detected on runway 22 left, and we have the PMDG 737-800 as the active aircraft. So everything here looks good. And now let's have a quick look at the approach we will fly today. So as you can see, VOR DME runway 22 left in Kastrup. We have MSA quite low around that place. 2100 is the highest northwest of the airfield, and the airport elevation is 17 feet, so we can say it's almost sea level. We are going to fly a non-precision approach. So the VOR frequency is 112.5. It's called Kilo Alpha Sierra. The inbound track is 217. Initial altitude is 3000 feet. And we have a descent, as you can see there, the angle is 292, all the way down to the minimum, which will be 500 feet. Should we go around, because this is what we will be training today, we have to climb straight ahead to 500 feet or 1.6 miles, whichever is later, and then turn left onto 187, climbing to 3000 and inform ATC. So go around is quite straightforward. That's good for the training. And the approach is nice as well. So here what I will do is I will create a pilot waypoint. We could of course use LAMOX, but then we will be very close to the point of the start of descent. So what I will do is create a pilot waypoint which is 20 miles from Kastrup VOR on the radial 037. You can see that the inbound course of this approach is 217, and it's based on Kastrup. So if we use Kastrup 037, we will be on a long final for this approach. So let's do that together. So the first thing to do, if you want to do that, you go to Select Fix, and we are going to select a waypoint. We don't have any pilot waypoint right now in Kastrup, so I will create a new one. When you do that, you get to this first screen. The latitude and longitude that you see right now are the one from the aircraft. So we want to pick the navade or a fix, and in our case that will be Kastrup VOR. So I'll pick navade. I will select VOR, as this is a VOR, and I will type in KAS, which is the ident of Kastrup VOR. Click search. Now make sure you select the one that is closest to the airport. The first one, as you can see, is 3 miles, and the second point is 972 miles. So obviously we want to take the first one, which is a distance 3 nautical miles from the airport. I select this waypoint, so now FSiPanel has this waypoint, this VOR as the reference. Now we need to configure the position where we want to be, so it's basically a radial and a distance, like you will do with your FMC. So here the radial is the opposite of the inbound course, so that's going to be 037. So we will put 037, and the distance we said 20 miles. Once you do that, click Compute Coordinates. So now you can see that this is the new coordinates of my Waypoint, which is 20 miles northeast of Kastrup VOR. I need to put an altitude, so as per the approach chart, we should be at 3,000 feet. Default heading, that's 217. That's the heading we want to fly on that approach. So let's put 217. We want to be clean, flaps up, gear up. We will do the configuration by yourself. Then you can give your waypoint a name. In that case, I will put Kastrup 20. And the descriptions, we can put to practice or to train non-precision approach. That's it. When you click Save Waypoint, your waypoint is now created and available. If I click on the waypoint, I can download it and I can share it with the community, or that second option is to delete it. Now, as you can see there, we have the heading 217, we have the altitude 3,000 feet, and the offset 0 right now. That means if I want to fly that waypoint just now, I will be exactly at 20 nautical miles from Kastrup on the 037 radial. If you want later on, let's say, to fly another approach and be a little bit higher or lower, you can click on the 3000 and give a new altitude without having to create a new pilot waypoint. Good, so we are ready to go. I will click validate. Now you can see that we are going to fly to pilot waypoint Kilo Alpha Sierra 20, and we should be at 3000 feet. So now we can just go ahead, click move aircraft, and the 737 will be positioned for us. Then we will prepare the FMC and we will take a snapshot so that we can repeat a couple of go-arounds. So let's click move aircraft. Oh, the aircraft is too heavy. So new load, I will reduce my zero fuel weight to, let's say, 58 tons. So we'll be training today as 62 tons landing weight. Update the load and we jump in the sim. And now FSiPanel will start working on the positioning. Here we go. So as always, when FSiPanel is doing that, please do not touch anything. Just watch the show. And once it's ready, then you can interact with your cockpit. So that's very important. So right now we are 20 miles and we are descending to 3,000 feet. Once this is done, we will program the FMC together with everything we need for this non-precision approach, and we will be ready to save a snapshot. Alright, so we are slowly reaching 3,000 feet. Everything looks good, and by the way, it's snowy, so you can see that we have -5 degrees. So normally FSiPanel has set the anti-ice on, and we have the engine start switches on continuous, which is perfect. So that's to make sure you have it on as well if you're flying in icing condition, which is the case today with the weather preset. And we can see here TAI on both engine. All right, that's it. FSiPanel tells us that we are ready to take over the control. So before we do that, we are going to program our FMC. So if you go to departure arrival, FSiPanel always sets the ILS approach if any is available. So as you can see now, we have the ILS 22 left selected by FSiPanel. We have the nav setting for 22 left. So we are going to use the VOR DME 22 left and execute. Now the next thing I want to do is set the Charlie Delta 22 left on top and execute. Now as you can see here, we have no vertical deviation shown. We don't have a decel point because we need to tell the FMC our actual cruising altitude. So for that, just go to cruise and enter 3000, which is our actual altitude right there. Then you can see that the target speed is 273. I would suggest we go to 20 knots, which is more than enough, and then execute. When you do that, you can see that now you will have a decel point. You have a vertical deviation right there. So now the aircraft will descend. Perfect. Now another thing we want to do is to make sure we have the minimum. So for this approach, the minimum is 500 feet. So we are going to set 500 feet as minimum. And then we will do the nav setting. So 500 feet. Here we go. And then we are going to set the nav setting, which is 112.5. 112.5 and 112.5. Here we go. Another thing which is nice to do is to set a 2 miles radius at the final approach fix. On this approach we should be fully configured at Fox Delta 22 left, which is 8 miles final. So what is nice to do is you go on a fix, you put your Fox Delta 22 left, and we just put 2 miles. That's nice. Next, for the go around, it says whichever, so climb straight ahead to 500 feet or 1.6 miles, whichever is later. Okay, so what we can do here as well is a new fix. Put Karlstrup, Kilo Alpha Sierra 112.5, that's the one, and we are going to put a distance, so slash 1.6. So now we will have some indications, and we know that we have to turn at 1.6 DME or 500 feet, whichever is later. So if we are lucky, 1.6 DME should be the one that will take into account. Otherwise it means we have big performance issue and we are staying low for a long time. So hopefully that's not going to be the case. Alright, so now we have everything. We have landing speed, we have minimums, we have briefed the approach before, we have everything ready. We can basically go ahead and fly this approach. But before I do that, before I fly the approach and we will go around, I will take a snapshot of the actual situation. So everything is set properly. Let's take FSiPanel and we will take a snapshot, and I will put here TS VOR 22 left, and I will put VOR 22 left training. So this snapshot, you will find it in the description below, and you can import it by simply drag and drop it over the FSiPanel main window. So let's save that snapshot. That will take around 5 to 10 seconds, and we will have the confirmation that the snapshot is saved. So you will see that as well in the FSiPanel instruction window. And once this is done, we'll be ready to go and start flying. Okay, snapshot saved successfully. Okay, and now we are ready to fly. So the first thing we want to do is to descend on the approach, reach minimum, and then we will go around, and on the go around we will keep flying manually all the way until the aircraft is completely cleaned up. What you have to check on that approach is the mode. So I will open a window here so you can see it better, and as well look at the IAS MAC window. That's quite important on the first go around that we will do. Procedure wise, I will brief it now. So the go around on the 737, first thing to do is to press the toga buttons. So you'll press toga button, then if the auto throttle is still engaged, and this is very important, if your auto throttle is off and you fly manually, if you push toga, make sure you check your thrust. So always the normal call on this aircraft is go around toga, flaps 15, then we check go around thrust. That's the very important step. Check go around thrust. If the thrust is there, positive rate, gear up. Then by 400 feet we make sure that we have a lateral mode. So if LNAV is available and the FMC has the missed approach in the database, arm LNAV, and then we clean up the aircraft passing 1000 feet. And once the aircraft is cleaned up, after takeoff checklist. Alright, let's try to do that. So we are ready. I hold my brake for 3 seconds and I have control of the aircraft. So let's go LNAV, VNAV. Very important when you do that, make sure you have VNAV path. If you don't have VNAV path, nothing's gonna happen. The aircraft will not descend. Another point, now the aircraft will descend very close to that point here. If we don't lower the altitude here, we will have a VNAV alt instead of VNAV path, and the aircraft will not descend again, and we are going to screw up the approach. Alright, so here we will try not to screw it up, so we'll put 500 feet, which is our minimum. So now we know that the aircraft will start descend. I will try to open that for you. So this one we will not need, but that one is nice, so you can see the modes and everything. So to the configuration, we should be fully configured at the final approach fix at Fox Delta 22 left. So what we will do is go early with flaps 5. That circle that I put is the latest point where you should go basically gear down flaps 15. And we should be fully configured at the waypoint Fox Delta 22 left. Alright, so let's go ahead and go with flaps 1. When we go flaps 1, in LNAV and VNAV path, automatically the aircraft start to reduce the speed to bug 1. So that's very nice. She's doing it for us. And the speed is reducing. We have flaps 1, green light. Now we can go flaps 5. Let's go flaps 5, speed check, flaps 5. Now the bug 5, you will see that the autopilot will reduce the speed to flaps 2 and then to flaps 5. And that's automatically done for us again. Perfect. Next, we are expecting the aircraft to start descend. You can see now the vertical deviation start to move. We are in VNAV path, so do not overreact. I see some trainee, they start to take autopilot off and everything. Just give the time to the aircraft. She will go. And she starts, she's going down. Now what we'll do, we'll go gear down as the speed is increasing. So let's go gear down. It's a constant descent, so we are not expecting any level off. So we can go gear down, flaps 15, and do the action. So the actions, the lights, this is already to continuous, and arm the speed brake.
2500.
Perfect. We have radio altimeter live. We continue down, and I will configure the aircraft now for landing. Flaps 30. And I will explain you something now very important as well. You see that there is an automatic setting of the ILS. I don't want that, so I'm going to set again 112.5, 112.5. So what is important there is to set your missed approach altitude as well. That's a trap. If you don't set your missed approach altitude, the go-around will be completely screwed. So the FCOM says when you are 300 feet or less below your missed approach altitude, in our case 3,000 feet, so 2,700 feet or lower, I can set my missed approach altitude. Right, so now I can set my missed approach altitude, 3,000 feet. It's always a good idea when you change the altitude to make sure you still have your VNAV path. And now we can continue our approach. Next thing, we're gonna check the steps based on the VOR DME distance. So if you see 8 miles right there and down here, 8 miles from Kilo Alpha Sierra, the approach chart says we should be at 1,610 feet. And look at that, perfectly well. So we will cross-check that all the way to the minimum. 7 miles, we should be at 1,300 feet. So let's see if that works as well. And we will do the landing checklist. Engine start switches are continuous, the speed brake is armed, landing gear is down, and flaps 30 green light, landing checklist completed. Alright, 7 miles, we were perfectly well as well at 1,300 feet. Next 6 miles, we should be 990, and as well, this is below 1,000 feet, so we should be fully stabilized, all checklists completed, so we are. Now we are getting ready for the missed approach. So the autopilot will disconnect when we go around. When we push toga, the autopilot disconnects as we have only one command active right now. The auto throttle is still armed, so we are expecting the thrust to be set. So let's see that together. We will go around exactly at the minimum, and I will explain what I'm doing. So I am ready to go around. I have my finger on the toga switch.
Minimum.
Checked.
500. Minimum.
No contact, go around. Toga, flaps 15. Pitch up. Positive rate. Gear up. Follow flight director. Above 400 feet. Select a lateral mode. In that case, we can go LNAV. So LNAV. check that LNAV is engaged. LNAV is engaged. And now we fly the airplane. Have a look at the window. I was telling you about the window. It's blank. So that's very important if you fly manually. Now the aircraft will automatically accelerate for you and you have to retract the flaps. So now she's expecting us to go flaps 5. So if I go flaps 5, which I'm doing right now, you can see the speed bug increasing to bug 1. So now she's expecting me to go flaps 1. So I go flaps 1. And now you will see the bug is going to flaps up. So once we pass one bug, alt acquired, I can go flaps up. And now be careful, you see that we capture the altitude. So when we capture the altitude, then the windows open. And then I will go command, and we have MCP speed, LNAV, altitude, speed to 20. Airplane is cleaned up, flaps up, no lights. Once this is done, we do the after takeoff checklist. So after takeoff checklist, we'll just turn off these 3 lights. Do not turn off your engine start switches as we have anti-ice on. And then auto brake, we are coming back for another approach, and the gear goes to off. After takeoff checklist completed, and now we will assess the situation. Do we have the fuel to do another approach? Should we divert? This is another story. Here we are here to practice landings, or go around in that case today. So that's it. So that was manual go around, and you saw that the window is black and that the aircraft accelerate for you as needed. So you just have to follow what she says and then retract your flaps. Very nice, but you have to fly manually and you have to be careful with your thrust. Second approach we will do exactly the same, but this time I will engage the autopilot at 400 feet. So let's bring FSiPanel, and we are just going to use move aircraft as it has already the pilot waypoint. What we're gonna do, we're going to take the snapshot. It's even better because the snapshot has all the minimum and everything we set. So we go load snapshot, and I'm going to take my Calstroop 22 left VOR, select, move. We go back in the sim, and then FSiPanel will put us back exactly where we were supposed to be with the flight plan, the minimum, and we are almost ready to fly again a second approach. So that's very nice and easy to practice if you use the snapshot mode. Alright, vertical speed, we are coming back to 3000 feet. FSiPanel will bring us down here, and then second approach, same thing, the go around, and this time what I will do, I will disconnect the auto throttle during the approach, so you will see the trap that we can have if the auto throttle is disconnected. However, I will put the autopilot on at 400 feet. So pay attention to the modes, and you will see that it's very easy to make a mistake, especially if you have the auto throttle off and you are in IMC and the go around is unexpected. If the go around is expected, usually you have your finger on the toga button, you are ready, you are expecting it, you are on a sim check or you are in bad weather, you are ready. The worst go around I've seen during training is when you suddenly have to go around. The instructor, when I tell the guys at 500 feet in a beautiful day go around, then it becomes very critical. Not critical, but difficult, let's say. So let's see that now. Today we are doing a second approach. Everything is ready. I'll take the control of the aircraft. Here we go, and I will arm again LNAV and VNAV, and I will set 500 feet. Or let me show you what happened if we don't set 500 feet, because I was mentioning that, so I want to show you what's happening, because this is as well something tricky on the 737, and I see it sometimes in the simulator. So you're ready for your approach, everything is perfect, you get vectors, you are on track, and you are ready to fly this beautiful approach. Normally very easy with the 737, we have everything programmed, but we just forget to set our minimum right there. So let's see what's happening in the modes. So we are flying, we start to configure flaps 1. Bug 1. And the aircraft slowly reduces the speed to bug 1. This is perfect. Always wait for flaps 1 green light before going for another flap setting. That's very important as well to make sure we have the slot extended. Flaps 1 green light, flaps 5. And we expect the aircraft to slow down to flaps 5 to bug 5. That will happen. Normally on the aircraft, on the real aircraft, we will get a warning, FMC warning, telling us to reset FMC altitude. So let's see if that's happening on the PMDG today. That's the last reminder that you're gonna screw your approach. So let's have a look if this is happening. So we have flaps 5 now. Decel point is coming, so she will start this. She should start descent very soon. Now we just wait and see what happens. Let's go gear down already. Like we pretend we are going to do this approach. Flaps 15. Now you see what's happening. She's in VNAV alt. Now we reverted in VNAV alt and the approach is screwed. So as I figure out, I can quickly recover. If I'm fast enough, VNAV path will come right away. If not, I will have to select vertical speed, maximum 1,500 to 2,000 feet per minute, and then recover VNAV. Don't forget in that case to arm VNAV again, otherwise you might go way below your profile. Alright, so that was a trap. That's one of the traps you can have on that aircraft. I show you now another trap. Let's go for final flap setting, flaps 30, and we do the landing checklist. And then I will show you another easy trap that we see on training. Alright, so engine start switches. They are on the continue, speed brake is armed, landing gear is down, and flaps 30 green light. Landing checklist completed. She give me again the ILS. I don't want the ILS, so let's remove the ILS on the captain's side. So we are doing a proper VOR approach. Another mistake. Let me show you another mistake that will make you for sure go around. We forget to set the missed approach altitude right there. So what do you expect to happen with the aircraft? There is two things that are dangerous if we forget to set missed approach altitude. The first thing is she will level off. So if you're coming nicely established, you see your runway, you see some approach light, and suddenly she level off and had thrust to maintain 500 feet, then by the time you realize and you disconnect your autopilot, you're gonna be too high, unstabilized, and that will lead to a go around. So that's the problem we have. The second problem you have with that, you will do your go around as we did before, but then once you engage level change, then what's gonna happen, the aircraft will go down because the altitude is low here. So we will try that and you will see what happens when I engage the autopilot, and you will see how important it is at 1,000 feet radio altimeter to call stabilized and as well missed approach altitude set. That's something you should keep in mind. 1,000 feet stabilized, missed approach altitude set. So let's see what's happening. We will go around, auto throttle off. I will forget the thrust, then I will set the thrust, and then we will see what's happening with the modes when we engage the autopilot with 500 feet here in the window. So 1,000 feet stabilized. Unfortunately, I forgot to check my missed approach altitude, which is 3,000 feet. So I'm getting ready for my missed approach. I will disconnect the auto throttle now. And we are coming down nicely. We're expecting to see the runway. And let's see what's happening. Look at VNAV path. VNAV path becomes VNAV alt. Now the aircraft level up. And now that's too late. I screw my approach. I have to go around. So now I will go around. So I'll go around. Push the button. Flaps 15. Check thrust. Check thrust. Okay, thrust, sorry. Thrust. Thrust is checked. Now we have a positive rate. Gear up. Alright, let's put back the auto throttle so you will see what's happening now in the go around. At 400 feet, LNAV. LNAV is engaged. And now I will put the autopilot. So have a look at the window. The window opens, and now look what happened to my thrust. And what's happening to the aircraft? She's going down because she wants to go to 500 feet, and this is very dangerous. Now you dial up your missed approach altitude, and now she realized, oh, you want to go up. And now she will give you back the thrust, and you can climb. So this is why that can kill you. The missed approach altitude can kill you. All right, so be very careful. Now, as the window open, when we open the, when we put the autopilot on, we are responsible for the speed. So now I have to basically increase the speed to up speed and retract the flap on schedule. So now we're going flaps 5. Now we'll go flaps 1. We pass flaps 1. We just wait for flaps 1 to be confirmed. And then we will go flaps up, and the speed we can go to 20 knots. And now flaps up. And now we're gonna have flaps up no light, and we can do the after takeoff checklist. Altitude hold, second missed approach in a row, and here we go. After takeoff checklist, we keep the auto brake. We're coming back, and we are just going to turn off those lights. We are still in icing condition. We keep the engine start switches to continuous. All right, so here, did you see what happened? 2 or 3 mistakes. The first one, missed approach altitude was not set. That's a big mistake if you go around, especially if you're in low visibility. You have automation, and then the aircraft will basically just dive because she wants to go to that number here. So that's something. Now, if you don't set again this missed approach altitude, the aircraft will level off in your approach, and it will be unstabilized. You will screw, and you will have to go around. And as well, we saw that if we forget to set minimum, then the aircraft will not start descent. It will revert to VNAV alt, and then if we are lucky, we can recover. If not, it's a shame. We have to tell ATC that we need new vector to do another approach. So be careful as well on that. Great. Why do we have to set the missed approach 300 feet or lower from the chart? So in Calstroop, it's 3,000 feet. So let me demonstrate why. If I try now to engage vertical speed, normally, so this should not happen. In the aircraft, in the real aircraft, you cannot do it. So let's see, I try again to make sure that PMDG has modeled that correctly. If we're at 3,000 feet and you try to engage the vertical speed, it should not engage because you're locked. And you will be locked even at 2,800 feet. But if you go 2,700 feet, now you're not locked. So why Boeing tell us wait until you are 300 feet below? It's because if you are within 200 feet, she will maintain the altitude again. So she will revert to altitude hold, and you will screw your approach. All right, that was something to show you. Next thing we will do, we will use exactly the same snapshot, but we are going to do, now this time we are not going to use the snapshot. We are going to put ourselves in a short final, and we will do a fully automatic go around on the ILS 22 left. So let's use FSiPanel. We go, let's say, short final, and short final 1,000 feet. So the latest to engage 2 commands is 800 feet radio altimeter. So let me put long final so you see better what's happening, and move aircraft. So now we're expecting FSiPanel to put us fully configured for landing on the short final. Alright, here we go. We are descending. We should be 8 miles final. FSiPanel will set the FMC. That's done. We have auto brake 2, perfect. We have the nav setting. And there what we will do is the go around fully automated. A full coupled go around. That's what you should do if you're in low visibility. And if you are flying a normal Cat 1 approach, and let's say you are very close to preceding aircraft, or the weather is not very optimum, or you smell like a go-around could be coming very soon, just put your second command. It will not cost anything, and if you go around, it's going to be fully automatic. So that's something we should do and think about. All right, here we are. So let me update the speed. We are going for let's say an Autoland with flaps 30. Normally we do flaps 40 in low visibility, but that's no low visibility today. It's just for the training purposes. So we are going to keep the aircraft like that. So everything is set. We have anti-ice. Everything is done. The minimum. This time we will revert to minimum for the ILS approach. Or let's go around at 500 feet. Let's go around 500 feet so that you see what's happening. So we are 8 miles. Everything looks good. I will take the control of the aircraft. Here we go. And then I will arm the approach. Vorlock, glide slope armed. Now I could engage second command. At 1,500 feet, the aircraft will assess everything and will decide whether the aircraft is able to do an autoland or if the autoland is not available. So if we forget to engage the second autopilot, we still have a chance down to 800 feet to do it. So on a precision approach, anytime you have glide slope captured, that's the right time to set your missed approach altitude because of the same thing we saw before. So what I will do now, I will show you if I forget to engage the second command. So what we will do, we wait until 1500 feet. You will see that the aircraft will assess the situation by flashing localizer and glide slope, but we will not get into the autoland. So let's see that happening at 1500 feet, and luckily we will realize, and then we will engage the second autopilot. Let's see that. Let's do the landing checklist. So we are ready for landing. Engine start switch is continuous, speed brake is armed, landing gear is down 3 greens, flaps 15, and the flaps are 30 green lights. Landing checklist completed. 1500 feet, radio altimeter around this position here. This is where the aircraft assess the situation, and we do not get autoland, and this is one of the call by the first officer. So now we realize something is wrong. Let's switch the second autopilot, and now you can see the aircraft assessing the situation, and if we are lucky we are getting land 3 flare armed. Right, so let's see what's gonna happen. Now the aircraft will do an autoland and will also do an automatic go around if I press the toga switch. So the procedure is exactly the same. Toga, flaps 15, check your thrust, always check your thrust, positive rate, gear up, and then just engage LNAV at 400 feet and clean up the airplane as per the profile. The windows will remain blank. So let's see that happening. We'll go around at 500 feet, and you will see that this is the easiest go around you can do. So if you're flying Cat 1 and you're expecting to go around, just put your 2 autopilots on. Make sure you have land 3 flare arm. At that time, if I see the runway, I can disconnect and do a manual landing. But the good thing with that is that you will have an automatic go around. So let's go around now. I will press toga, go around, flaps 15, thrust is checked, positive rate, gear up. As easy as that. We are above 400 feet, LNAV. We check the mode. LNAV is not engaging. That can happen, no problem. Heading. We have heading 500 feet or 1.6 miles, which is that circle here. We have to turn left. So no issue, we can continue the climb. Now you can see that the windows is still blank, and she wants us to go flaps 5. So I'll go flaps 5. Now she increased the speed to bug 1. So she wants us to go bug flaps 1. Let's go flaps 1. And now she will increase the speed to bug up. When the mode is out of toga, when she gets altitude acquired, the window will open. Look at that now. This is going to happen just now. Once she gets to 3000 feet, toga mode is removed, alt acquired, and now the windows open. Another mistake here is to forget now to increase your speed. The windows open, increase your speed at or above up speed, and now you can finish your cleanup. Flaps up. Flaps up. No lights. Again, we'll do the after takeoff checklist. And that's it. And now we call it ECU, we take our heading, and we are good to continue our flight. So this is the go-around that you can do, fully automated, with the 737. And to finish that video, what I will do is an automatic landing from short final, so you can see everything that is happening when you do an automatic landing on this airplane. So let's put ourselves on a very short final, move aircraft. So you can see that with FSiPanel you can practice several approaches, landing, go around, everything in a couple of seconds. Sometimes you have this kind of behavior, airspeed low, don't worry too much, everything will stabilize. So here I just have to wait, as always when FSiPanel is positioning the aircraft. Even if we have a warning, do not worry. We are coming 1,000 feet. Here we go. The warning was because the thrust was at idle at low altitude with the landing flap position, so that triggers the oral warning. Alt acquired, we are ready, everything is set for us. I will take the control and I will engage right away the true autopilot because we are already below 1,500 feet. I will set missed approach altitude and I will tell you exactly what's going to happen in the modes, and you will see the automatic landing, which I hope works pretty well. So let's go ahead and take control of the aircraft. Arm approach. As soon as approach is arm, I put second autopilot, and then missed approach altitude 3,000 feet. We have the glide slope should be coming. Hopefully she will take it. This is not normal as well. Let's see if she's not. Yeah, glide slope, perfect. Glide slope captured, missed approach altitude set, 1,000 feet stabilized. Land 3, flare armed. So what's gonna happen? We are going down, and by 50 feet, we're expecting flare to become active. Before that, at 400, between 400 and 300 feet, the aircraft will start to trim up. This is to assist for the flare. This is completely normal. Then at 50 feet, you will see flare active. The aircraft will start to flare. At 27 feet, there will be a retard. So the aircraft will retard the thrust to idle. And once we touch down, we're going to have a rollout, so she maintains runway center line. So now she should start trimming very soft. Let's see if she's doing it in the PMDG. Around 400 to 300 feet, that's it. See, she started to trim, perfect. That's completely normal. Now we are looking outside. Captain is always looking outside. Contact. We decided to go for an automatic go-around. We will finish with an automatic go-around. The best way to screw it up is to take it manually now. So we'll do an automatic landing. Let's see 50 feet radio altimeter, flare. Look at that and then watch the 27 feet.
50,
Flare,
30,
retard,
10.
and she touched down, roll out. Now the only thing I have to do, speed brake up, reversers, idle reversers, and now she is maintaining runway center line. We have roll out, so we can let her maintain the center line. And whenever you want to take control, autopilot off, and now you have control of the aircraft. You can slow down, 60 knots out of reverse, and here we are. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that quick training video. As I said, the files will be ready for you to download. You have the link in the section down below. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel, that will help me, and I will be very happy to answer any of your question or comment. Thank you guys for watching. As always, stay safe and see you next time. Bye bye.